Hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Today we're looking at building a single project for Street View and HTML5. I'm Martin from support, and I'm joined today by...
Hi, I'm Karen, and I'll be here in the background helping out with Q&A, so questions and answers. If you have a question, please use the Q&A tab. That's where we are looking for questions. And please keep your questions on topic. So today is Street View and HTML5 project in one. So yeah, that's all for me. Enjoy the webinar and I'll see you later.
Thank you, Karen. Right, okay, so today's subject then, as we've already said, HTML5 outputs and Street View, and what we're doing is combining these all into one project. Now, the end of the last webinar we put out, did anyone have any suggestions? And this came in a couple of times, so hence why we're doing it. We already have a subject for next time, but as always, please send them in. Anyway, moving forward, what I'm going to show you now is basically a bad example. All right. So to understand what's bad about it, I'm going to then start a new project to show how we would then build a project that's good for it. So this is our layer Marnie tour. This was developed for HTML5 only. So if we click the output on this, you can see we've got a nice little fly in and we've got hotspots. But where this breaks is we've got a hotspot on the door. All right, I'm going to click the hotspot. It takes us into a room by the fireplace. Okay, and when the hotspot to come out of the building goes through the doors, and we're back into the courtyard we've started with. But if you look, the fireplace is right over here. Okay, so with Google, what happens is it assigns the hotspot direction, if you like, by the GPS location of your panoramas. So if I was to open this on Google, so I've added this nice little button in the HTML5 output, there we go, you'll see what I mean. The arrow is pointing towards the fireplace. If I click on that, we go through it, and when I come back out, my hotspot's missing obviously, but it's now wanting to come back to the courtyard using this hotspot. So basically, rule one is when you're thinking about making a tour for both HTML5 outputs and Street View is line of sight. Try and keep everything line of sight. Okay, so this was, if you like, my bad example. Okay, so what I'm going to do is close this and I'm going to open up a new project. This is the Guilt Tea Rooms. Now we're going to build this from scratch and we're going to go through the process of building this for HTML5 and Street View in mind. So just going to open it up, double click just to make it a little bit smaller. And what I want to do is I'm going to add the panoramas in the order. Now, if I was just to select all of these and drag them in, it would add them alphabetically, but I want to add them in a certain order. So I've already placed them in the order that they should be. So I'm just going to drag them in. Here we go. And we should have all done. There we go. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 panoramas. Right. Okay. So there's my panoramas. They're all in, and that's that. So what I can do now is double click on the bar at the top here of Pano 2 VR to fill the window up to make it easier for you guys to see. Right. So when we add out nodes to a tour, you want to add some metadata. Now, all of my nodes had all metadata all pre-added, so you could just go through the nodes and add your titles. For keyboard shortcut, I'm on the Mac, so I'm going to hold down Command and use the square bracket key to flick through, so you can do that to name quickly all the nodes. On the PC, it would be Control and square bracket to actually scroll through the nodes. Right, so that's all my nodes added, and they do have GPS data already, but it doesn't matter if they have or have not. What you would do is open up the tour map. Now here you can see I've got map pins already showing because the nodes have GPS. If they hadn't had GPS, you would just drag and drop the nodes into the tour map, and as you do that, it would then place them. Okay, so one of the other things as well, because we're going to be dealing with Google, is Google references more with the roadmap. So if we go to Street View, or rather Google and roadmap, this is probably the better map to use when you're placing pins. So I'm going to zoom in on that, and you can see here is all my pins already aligned. Now, I think when you're doing this, job one, get your north setting set correctly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to dock the tour map into this panel, open it up a little bit, and I'm just going to delete all of these panels here. So it gives me a bit more real estate to play with. So I can see now the direction of the radar beam versus the direction of the panorama. I'm not necessarily worried about north. What I'm worried about is the panorama pointing the same way as it should be in the map. Okay, so in this case, what I can do is if I click and drag the panorama, you can see the pano spins and the radar beam spins around as well. If I hold down the N key, this is our north setting. When I click and spin the panorama, it stays stationary, but we can then adjust the radar beam, which is adjusting our heading. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to whiz around so all the panos to make sure that they're pointing roughly in the same direction. So if I whiz around to the building, I'm going to use my grid. You can see I've got the grid turned on here with this little button. So I'm using my grid as a reference to see if I'm straight. You can see that the radar beam isn't quite perfect, so I'm just going to tidy that up, and I'm going to do this with all the panoramas. So whilst I'm doing this, I might just throw this open to Karen in a second to see if we've got any questions coming in. I know it's a bit early, but this may take just a few seconds to do, so I don't know if anybody has any questions as yet. Karen, anything?
No, I don't see any questions. I think it's so far straightforward.
Right, okay. The thing is, we have covered, thank you, Karen, we have covered this a few times, but separately. So how to, moderate, if you like, is the technical word, I suppose, a Street View tour, and how to then build one separately for HTML5. But this is a first for doing both. So as you can see, I'm just nearly finished now. Let's just get back to the building and make sure that's straight. I'm using all of these little reference lines and just straightening that up. Okay, so that's basically all my headings done. What I now need to do is connect the panoramas up, if you like, to add my links or to add the hotspots, and then make sure that the panoramas are placed correctly. Now, before I do this, what I'm going to do is having a look at this floor or this road map. I can see that my panoramas are actually very well misaligned. So what I'm going to do is select the first panorama, because this one is actually by the road. So that's just on the pavement by the road. Now, when you've got an active pin, I can click and drag this around. If you want to click and drag a non-active pin, so one of the blue ones, you would hold down on your keyboard the Alt or Option on the Mac, and then you can drag it. All right, so let's just put that there. This node will probably go about there. Then I know that this one's in the building here by the front door. That one's there. I know these because I shot the panorama, so that's how I know that I'm doing this. Obviously, if you were shooting your own panoramas, you would know roughly where your pins are as well. And this H needs to come about here. So that's roughly where I want them to be placed. So now what I want to do is just add the links together. So with that done, I'm going to click the blue link button, so linking options, and I'm going to link closest node. All right. Now, when I do this, it's going to almost work, but because the pins are closer here, this is wrong. I need B to connect to D and no connection between C and E. So let's just zoom in a little bit more so we can see what we're doing. And I'm going to click on C, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key and click E. It says Command. Sorry, hang on. Right, okay. Click C, select auto linking, hold down the Option key, click E, and it deletes that link. I can right button click and to stop linking mode. I want to start linking mode again in B, so I'll click B, select link mode, and then just click on D, right button click, and I've stopped the linking mode. So I've now corrected those links. Okay. All right, so that's basically that. And there you can see now in the panorama the blue hotspots that are now active linking my nodes together. Now I want to get back to the view I opened with in Pano 2 VR, as in what the interface looks like, not the panorama. So I'm going to option 1, and that's going to bring the panels back. Okay, right, so I will open the map up again. Here it is. I will undock that. And then if I dock it again, so if I click on the edge, if you see, I can dock it and it will fill up the whole panel. There we go. So that gives me a much cleaner view. Right. Okay. So I'm going to start with the outside view, and you can see I've got a hotspot here, which is about right. So I'm going to hold down, again, one of the things in Pano 2 VR that's really cool is that you can hold down the Alt or Option key and you can test your hotspots. So we can click, follow the hotspot. And if I come over here, I can see this active hotspot. So if I'm at B, I want to go to C. I can spin that around and I can make sure that the hotspots are where they are supposed to be. All right, now this one's slightly off a little bit. I'd like it by the door, but that's okay, because what I can do is hold down the Option key, and if I drag that pin, you'll see that it affects where the hotspot is. Now, why is it important to do it in the map? Well, it's important to do it in the map because, as said before, with Street View, it uses the location data of each node to add the links. In Pano 2 VR, if you're building an HTML5 output, you can actually put the links to wherever you like and then link them to whatever node you like. So it really doesn't matter. So here's an example. If I click on the hotspot, you'll see it's red with a padlock, and that is telling me that if we have a look in the properties panel, it's checked auto place lock position. So it's been auto placed by using its GPS. Had I not dragged the map pin, I could have shift click to deselect that. That is the same as just unchecking that pin, but shift click is obviously a keyboard shortcut and much faster. And I could have dragged that over. Now you can see we've got the ghost hotspot of where that was, but this is where the hotspot is now for that node, and it hasn't changed anything here. So if this was to be uploaded to Google now, it would be facing this hotspot and not this one. But that doesn't matter because they are very close together. So I'm just going to shift click and to relock that hotspot. So just lock it back into position. And it's the same with all of these hotspots. They have their padlock to say that they are locked via GPS. Okay, right, so let's just follow this through then to just make sure. So I'm going to hold down the Option key and follow the hotspots. This one looks okay. If I came out, that's a little bit too far over. So I can again Alt click, drag that back a little bit. That's about right. Click, follow that out. Just make sure that that's okay. That's too far over. So I'm going to go back to E because that's that one. So again, Option, drag the hotspot or the node, or sorry, the map pin even, so it's correct, and we can just follow that to test it, and that's just about right. And if we have a look now, F is a little bit over too far as well, so I can again do the same thing with F, bring that over, follow F. G is over too far, bring that over, that was a bit too much, here we go, follow that out. And H finally, now I know because I shot the panorama, that hotspot should be in front of this little table. So I can just bring that back slightly in front of the table, follow that out, there we go. And then we've got the nodes coming back. So that's me testing the hotspots, and everything appears to be as I want, which is great. Okay, the only problem I've got with this is, without thinking, I've set all my map pins, set all the locations, but I'm slightly wrong. If we have a look at this building in front of us, you'll see that we've got this large area of this big shop. There's the store at the back there. So actually, the whole cluster of map pins needs to be brought over to one side. They actually need to come over to the right a bit more. But that's okay, because if I hold down the Shift key, right, I can now click and drag all of the map pins, right, so they're now all active. I can now hold down the Command on the Mac, Control on the PC, and I can click this symbol and drag the whole lot in one hit. If I wanted to, I could also drag and rotate the cluster as well, if I wanted to, but I won't. All right, so there you go. So once you've actually set all your map pins out, and if you do think that you've got it slightly wrong, don't panic. Go and shift, select everything, and you can just move the whole cluster of map pins, or constellation, I think, as Google called it, together in one go. All right, so that's basically the Google side of it almost set. I say almost set because if I just undock the map, well, I've just closed the map, but let's just undock it because I don't like it docked there, and go to the Street View panel. If I click the upload button right now without doing anything else, it will say to me I have 8 images that have got no place listing, because this is an important thing that needs to happen with Google. Google needs to know where to put your panoramas in Street View. Okay, the easiest way to do that is if you've got a business and you've got it registered with Google My Business and whatnot, you can just hit the little button here. So pick from Google Maps. You'll see that Guild Tea Rooms is listed here. It's got its own little icon on the map itself, so I can click that, and as soon as I click that, you'll see that my map pins appear and the name appears in the place setting, or the place ID in the Street View panel. Now, the good thing is, and one of the things I sort of want to bring to attention here is, if you find that you have to search for a place, you might end up with and you might see something close or not quite right with the name. If you select that one, it may not be quite placed exactly where you need it to be. So this is where you really do need to think about getting a place, or asking that customer to verify their place on maps using the Google app. But the other thing is as well is, it may take time for Google to actually process your images. I've actually found, again through experience, that if you click one of these icons and you add the place via this icon, Google already knows about this. So uploading your panoramas, linking, all of that sort of stuff seems to be happening a lot faster than if you were to, search for a place using any other method and putting it up. It's just something that I've noticed. I don't know if it's factual, but just through experience. Okay, so what I would do here then, so if we hide the map, this obviously is, this place has been set to node 1. If I look at all the other nodes, it's not there, so I'd go back to node 1, or whichever node that I used to pick the place with, and just click the copy button. Click that, and now the place is set to all nodes. Right, if we go back to the user data, you will see that we've still got the names in for each of the panoramas. As a thing, if this was blank, when you select a place, that place name would be used as the title for all the panoramas. So you would see, the Guild Rooms would appear under each node. It would be all the same name. So it's important that, again, like you're building an HTML5 project, that you would title the panoramas. Okay, right. So that's, if you like, the Google part of it done. And I'm going to throw it back to Karen and just say, Karen, do we have any questions?
Why, yes, we do.
Awesome.
All right, I'm gonna get the one question out of the way first. It's not the first question that's come up, but the most popular one. How did you shoot your panoramas?
I used it's a DLSR Canon 750D with a Sigma 8mm fisheye lens. I took 3 brackets. I used a pano head tilted up 7.5 degrees. I took 15 shots in total, so that's 4 around, tilted up so it gets the zenith in as well. So brackets, then I shot a down shot to cover my tripod, and then back home, put it through a piece of software, Photomatics, that blends all the HDR images and gives me 5 images. That goes into my stitching software, and from there create the rectangular. So boom, that's how they were made.
Yeah. So that's, I think these images were taken way before the Z1 existed. So, yeah. It's,
absolutely. But I will say with the Z1, which is a blinding bit of kit, there's no two ways about it. But I've looked at this because I own a DLSR and I own, well, most of the Thetas Ricoh produced, apart from the one that's bolted to the space station. But anyway, and to be honest, when you're set up, it takes seconds to take each panorama. All right. It doesn't matter if it's quite level. It doesn't matter because you can correct all that in the stitching. You can really bang them out really quickly. Of course, you don't have to hide either. In fact, you can see me standing there in the window. But you don't have to hide because you're always at the back of the camera as well. And the time I batch Photomatics to make the HDR blending, batch PT GUI, all my panoramas are done. I look at what I do with the Z1, like taking the different images. If you're an iOS user, you can't use an app for the dual fisheye thing that's in the Theta store. So you've got to do it manually on the camera. You've always got to try and duck and hide. And then when you get it back, you've got to try and get it stitched properly. Then most people are using third-party software for denoise and do this and do that. And then they're getting something quite good. But to achieve this same level using a DLSR, I think this is actually quicker. The difference being, though, about £1,000 difference in kit. It's about $2,000 for my kit, including the camera, fisheye lens, pano head, tripod, all that sort of stuff. And it's under £1,000 for the Theta Z1. So you pays your money, you takes your choice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Agree with Martin there. I'm much quicker shooting 4 round or 6 if I need it, and stitching it and done. I have a harder time with the one shots, getting it right. Anyway, so that was a little digression from what. Sorry.
No, it's
but
all
I think it's
part and parcel, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so Luke was asking, when moving nodes on the map, can this also be done in smaller increments or steps than with the mouse? Like, can you use the keyboard arrows?
I can't say that. I've tried, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. We tried.
Oh, right, okay.
But you can zoom in, yeah.
You can zoom right in. I mean, if the increments are, that, yeah. And to be honest, the mere fact, the way that Google work with the arrows, but as I said, we're not quite finished yet. So, with Google with the arrows, it doesn't actually matter if it's like, half a meter or 3/4 of a meter, one side or the others, because you're really not going to see that from your position. But with the HTML5 version of this, then we can do something a little bit different. But that's after this little chat.
Okay, so keep the tour map open there.
Oh, sorry.
And because Graham is asking, he says, "Hi Martin, how did you give each node an identifying letter?"
Glad you asked this.
Glad you asked.
Because I forgot to mention it.
Yep.
Right, if we go to preferences, we go under advanced. What I've got is under Tour Browser, you've got Show Internal Node ID, which when you hover over a node, so it won't let me do that because I've got this panel open. So let's just, let's close that as well. So if I hover over a tour node, it comes out with this and it will say node 1. I don't know if it's the third thing down. If I move my mouse, it'll probably disappear. Oh no, yeah, it disappears. But it was the third thing down. It says node ID. So that's that one. That looks quite useful to have. That's not what you're asking, I know, but bear with me. But the second thing down is filter for map pins and ghost hotspots. Right? Okay. Show map labels in Tour Browser and map. That's the one that we've got selected. All right. So that is what's putting the letters in the tour nodes and on the map. The way that we do this, by the way, is we start off with capital letters. When we run out of capital letters, we go to numbers, and then when we run out of numbers, we then go to lowercase letters, and then we recirculate that again and carry on doing that. Now the thing is, actually, I'm just going to ask, because my brain's just died. Do we go capitals and then small letters, or do we go capitals and numbers then small letters?
I think it's capitals, numbers, and then small letters.
Okay, all right. But anyway,
I just wanted to interject because Javier is asking a similar question.
that's all right. So
And
Thomas has just typed, don't know.
Don't know. Yeah, no, I think it. Sorry, Thomas says he doesn't know, but I'm pretty sure it's big letters, numbers, little letters. But Javier is asking, can I number the nodes with numbers and not letters for tours with hundreds of nodes? Is there a way to change that?
No, it's just predefined. I mean, you've got 26 letters, then 10 numbers, so 0 to 9, and then we recirculate little numbers. But see, the thing is, it's the idea of this. If I was to click a node in the tour, in the tour browser, we see it on the map, and that was the idea. So you could tie up which ones that you were doing. So if you've got hundreds and hundreds, but then as we said before, you can filter. So uppercase, lowercase numbers, rinse, repeat. Right, that's it. That's what Thomas has just come back. So he's obviously tried it. So yeah, that's the answer to that one. So it's uppercase, lowercase numbers. Okay, but we can filter. So if you've got, let's just close this down. I don't know what I've got here. No, I haven't got any tags set. But if you've got tags set, so if I had outside and well, just do this. I mean, so I put outside. All right, so that's outside, so that's outside, and this one's outside, and then let's just select this one and say inside, and then I can drop inside tag to all of the inside panoramas. What you can do here is use the tour browser filter. So the filter can use tags, text, or distance. Distance if you've got GPS assigned, so you can say only show panoramas that are say 2 meters away from my current location. But in this case I can drop down, use the tag, and just filter the tour browser for only inside panoramas. When I open up the tour map, you only see inside panoramas. So that is another way of limiting what you're seeing on the screen as well. All right, so yeah, I think we've got things most covered, but we don't have where you can customize it yourself. But yeah, I think that's enough. I think.
Yeah, I think that's it. I see a question in the chat. Where did it go? Is it possible to view node ID and skin ID in the list view panel? It's a little bit out of scope here, but I think no.
No. I mean, if we have a look at the list view, it just tells you what's in the panorama. So this panorama has 3-point hotspots. That's it. Oh, but it tells you what the...
Yeah, you can see it there.
You can actually see what you're linked to, but not the one you're in. But it doesn't tell you what the node ID is, though.
Yeah, but it would be helpful to have something like that maybe in the list so you can have a quick view. Maybe unless it's in the overview, but I don't think so.
Let's have a look. Overview. No, it won't list the node there, I don't think. Mm-hmm. No, it just tells you overview of the tour. So, point hotspots 14. There you go. Right, cool.
Okay, I think that is all the questions. Just a reminder, please use the Q&A tab. So it makes it easier for us to find the questions. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Right, okay, let's get back to this then. So here is our tour, and as I say, when we've got the hotspot, we've got the padlock. If I hold down the Alt/Option key on the Mac and Alt on the PC, you can see that we can follow these. This point hotspot for me is too close to this table. It needs to come over, but it's going to be such a small amount. Do I really want to faff around with it with the map? Probably not. So what I can do is shift click, and you could, I can click it to get to actually make the hotspot active. If I shift click, I get rid of the locking padlock. I can drag it to one side. All right. So what's going to happen now is that the HTML5 version is going to be using this point hotspot, but the Google Map version or the Google Street View version will be using where the hotspot was using its GPS. All right, so with this all said, what I want to do now is just add an HTML5 output, and let's just publish this and get it out of the way. Right, so this is... I'm so glad Pano 2 VR is quick. Else we'd be here all day. Anyway, right, so... This is almost done. So blue room, counter, back garden, boom, done. Right, okay, so you can now see our default hotspots, and you know, this is the tour, and yeah, all good. Now the thing I wanted to show is if we come back outside, the hotspot now is where I put it for the HTML5 version, but the Street View version, the arrow would be pointing in that general direction, but more to the table. But this you can see, so just with the one project file, you can actually make these slight adjustments, and one really doesn't affect the other. Okay, now I'm just going to carry on building a skin for this, because this is my HTML5 output. So what I want to do is add a thumbnail menu. I want to add, I don't know, let's have not an arrowed one, because Google's going to have that. I'm going to use my normal hotspots. Let's add, he says, what do I want? What I want? I'm going to add a full screen button, and I want projections. Okay, so that's my skin built. And if I look at the projections, I want that over to the left, so I'm going to move that by 16 pixels, and then the button full screen, I'm going to make that minus 16 pixels, because all of our default pixels are buttons are 32 pixels wide. So I can just move them side to side. I can then save, close and save. Let's pick up the folder and save my skin, call it skin, save it to the project folder, create the output, and I've now got my HTML5 tour working as is. We've got some nice hotspots with previews, everything working. We've got the full screen button, and we've got some projections going on if I so choose. There we go. Cool. Right. So let's just go back to fisheye and then rectilinear. Right, okay, so that's the hotspots all done, and that's now done. What I'm going to do, because I can, is I'm going to add a button to open this up on Street View. Okay, so what I need to do is just find a graphic. So let's just open this up and just grab a graphic. There it is, that one, that'll do. All right, and let's just make this lock the aspect ratio by using that button, making that, I don't know, 120 pixels, that'll do. Let's anchor it top right and add that 10 by 10 pixels from the top and from the bottom, from the right. And then I'm going to grab a text box, and I'm going to get rid of the border, or the background, get rid of the border, change the text to see on, he says, here we go. And I am going to pretty much leave that there. I'm going to justify left, and then I'm going to drag that in front of there and make the text box a child of the SVG, just to keep everything nice and tidy. I'm going to call the SVG, that is now see in Street View. Here we go. So that's the name of this button. I'm also going to give it the hand cursor, and I'm going to give the text box the hand cursor. He says, here it is, clump. I could actually rename that, but I won't bother. I'm going to see what this looks like in the skin preview, because all I've done is just drag and drop that, so I don't know about its positioning. So let's just bring that out slightly. There we go. So that's what it looks like. The other thing is I don't like is my text is dark and the Google Maps thing is a bit of a grey colour. So what I'm going to do is select the text box, go to the colour picker or colour tool, select the colour picker, and I'm going to hover over the G and use that colour for my text box, and that should, there we go, that looks much nicer now. They look almost the same colour. Right, okay, so that's basically the skin aligned. What I want to do now is give the this button an action, because it needs to do something. So I'm going to give it a mouse click. I'm going to go to URL, and now I need a placeholder. Now what this button is, as it says, see on Google Maps. So what we have is a placeholder that will locate the panorama on maps from your tour. And so when you click that, it'll open up the Google version of the node that you're in. All right. So if I go to the website, so this is our website, so gnome.com, go to documentation, Pano2VR, and if we whiz it right down to reference, you will see list of placeholders. If I select that, I'm going to reference Google Street View, because we've got placeholders for everything. And here we can see Google Street View, blah, blah, and it tells you exactly what it's going to do on the tin, but I'm just going to copy that, click, copy, close, and just paste that in. All right, so that's there, click. So that now button has the correct placeholder for this to work. So I'm just going to click save, and we're going to publish this out. And so here's my See on Street View, and here's the HTML5 tour. Brilliant. But when I click on the See Street View, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, thing is, this tour is actually on Street View, and it was built with another project, and that project no longer exists because I built it, moved on, deleted it, and whatnot. The good thing with Pano 2 VR is you can build another project, which I've done now. But now what we can do is go to my Street View browser. So the Street View panel, Street View browser, and we can just search for the Gilt Room. So GI, and there it is, Gilt Rooms, and open up the nodes. And here are the nodes. You can see there's nothing here to say there's anything connected. So what I'm going to do is go to the first node into the Street View into the tour browser, open up the Street View browser and find this node, right button click and connect current panorama. We've now connected the Street View version to this one locally. All right, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. Again, it's Control square bracket or right bracket on the PC, and it's Command on the Mac. So that moves the tour browser along one. I just need to find this node in the tour browser. He says, where is it? This one. So right button click, connect. Do the same thing again, which is this one, connect. Do the same thing, which is this one, connect. And carry on until I'm done. Did I just connect the wrong one? Probably did, to be fair, did I? Yes. So if I I'll tell you what, I'll just connect that one.
Yeah, that one's the entrance one, the one above it.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's the wood for the trees. Thank you, Karen. I'm glad there's another pair of eyes on this because mine are absolutely shocking. Anyway, right, carry on. So let's... so the blue room is, strangely enough, one with the blue door. So that one, connect. Let's go to the counter, which is this one, connect. And finally, outside, which should be the only one without a green connection icon. Bingo, look at that. Thing of beauty. Right, so let's close that down, and you can now see that in my Street View browser, we've got the green connection. If I was to click the upload project, it now says there is 8 images found in my collection in Street View. 1 hotspot are not auto-placed. I don't need to worry about this because I know this. What this is a warning. It's telling me that I moved the hotspot manually, so it's not going to be pointing in the same direction as the Street View version, which is fine. All right. And then it's another little warning that it could take several hours for it to connect, blah, blah, blah. Right. Okay. So let's click OK to that. Oh, no, I won't. Stop that. I didn't want to click OK to that. So let's just stop that. And because this all works, thank you very much. So let's just publish this out. And now what I should have is this now active because we've now connected the Street View version to my desktop version. When I click this, we have now got the Street View version working. Here we go. Thing of beauty. There we go. Cool. And it should all work. What I will do though is nip outside again and have a look at that one. As we said, because we moved the hotspot, because if you look at the actual arrows pointing towards that back of that chair where we actually moved it here on the HTML5 version. So yeah, there isn't that much difference really. I mean, if you have a look at the chair, I'm a little bit to one side of it, but ho hey, you know. But you can see now that we've got a fully functional single project, single tour, all working on both HTML5 and Street View. Do we have any questions, Karen?
Yeah, we do. Let's see. Thomas says, is it possible to connect one tour with another one? Let's say if you made a tour for a neighboring shop, like so can you, like, does that brick house over there, what if you want to connect those 2 tours together?
Absolutely. If you built the tours you can do this. And how you would do this is, I say if you built the tours, you do need the tours in your in your Street View browser. Let's try that one again. Google Street View panel, Street View browser. They do need to be in the browser, okay? But what you can do is here you can see external links and photo ID in place, and you can actually link to this. So what you could do, as an example, if I'm in this node, which is the front node, all right, I would find the project in my Street View browser that's I don't know, over here somewhere. Yeah, I could right button click there and link to external panorama. So I would link this panorama to this one. All right, and that's basically how you would do that, or the easiest way to do that. So yes, you can do that, but one, you've got to have made the tours, and two, they need to be in your account. All right, so you need to bear that in mind.
Okay, that's all the questions. Yeah.
Cool. All right, I will crack on then, because I'm not quite finished, because there are a couple of little things that we've got to think about, because we are on the same level. So what happens if your projects have got multiple levels? Now, there is a few ways around this. If you are planning to build a virtual tour that works both on HTML5 and Street View, you do need to think and plan this. So I'm going to close this project down. Okay, let's go back to the Leomani tour, because this actually has this as a thing. Now, what we did with the Leomani tour is, so let's go back to our user data. So what I did was say, right, I have several nodes that are on different floors. So all the nodes that are on the same floor don't have any tags. But as soon as I hit a node that has different levels, so here, for argument's sake, we're going to go here, we want here, and we want ground, first, second floor. As soon as we hit the doll's house, which is this one at the ground floor, I've set a G to G for ground. The next one up is 1 for first, the next one up is 2 for second. Okay, I then added into the levels, you double click, you can then select a tag, and you can give it a name. You can have up to 3 digits here, but Google really don't give you a lot of room. So if you had like ZZZ, it may fall off the page. So try and keep things to a minimum. But here you can see I'm using G, first and second. Okay, so that's basically the levels setting. Now this is a Street View thing, all right? So let's go back to the output and actually see this. Actually, we don't need to go to the output. Let's go back to the Street View. What I can do is look at this node. Now, in our Street View panel, this button here opens up your account. This button here opens up the node in the in Maps. So if I click this, we're now at the node in Maps, and you can see what they call, I think I remember calling them the elevator icons. So we're at G, ground, but then there's the first and second, and it's used the actual name that I've typed in here. Now, this is the width that you've got. So if you're using wide characters, you can see it could fall off either side here. This is why I'm saying, bear in mind, don't go mad. Probably just, G, 1, 2, 3, whatever, would be fine. I've used first, second, third, whatever. It's whatever is your preference. Okay, so you can see this is working. Now, basically, if I just close this, what would happen is I would have links to all of the panoramas up to the doll's house. So if I was to go back outside, you'll see that there is a link to the doll's house. And when I'm at the doll's house, I would stop with the links. So I've actually got 2 links here, but these would not be here. All right, I would stop with the linking, and then I would use this. So basically what this project will do is, when I'm in the doll's house, you can see this. You can see, but I said this is a bad example because we're going right through a wall to get to this location. Remember, when you're taking the panoramas, key thing, line of sight. You've got to see your next location. Doesn't matter if it's one side of a courtyard to another, but as long as you can see it. All right, so that's the key here. But here I've got no more hotspots, dead end. So this is where the elevator comes in. I can now go to the first floor. This has got no hotspots or links at all. All right, because then we can use the elevator icon to go to the second floor. Now, this is one way of doing it. So if I was to build an HTML5 version of this, all right, what you could do in the skin, because funny enough, there is an HTML5 version of this, is I could build in the skin the same sort of elevator icons. So I wouldn't necessarily have hotspots in my project, all right? I would just have the elevator icons mimicking what Google does. So again, this would work as an HTML5 project because you've got the same icons and on Google. And of course, with a skin, you can add your thumbnails and your menus and you can hop to wherever you want. However, there is another train of thought with this, and that's, well, what if I don't want levels? What happens if I want to have hotspots? Right, if we open the tour map for this project, you will see that it's pretty well quite funky because it's had a lot of doing to it for this webinar. But you can see that we're at E. The next floor up is F. The next floor up is, so the second floor is G. So theoretically, if I stock this in again, what I could have done is added the link. Now what this means is on Street View, you wouldn't see these hotspots, but when you were to go over here, you'd have the arrow going to that door. When I click the arrow, we would have been at F. And if I rotate that round to this node, all right, so G in the map, I would now have an arrow going forward. So when I click that arrow, I would have gone to G. So not using levels at all, but still linking nodes together. Okay. All right. So that's another train of thought. And of course, coming back, you can see that the arrow would be pointing that way to go to F, and this would be going, the arrow would be going this way to get to E. And of course, E is on the ground floor, so it would have an arrow going out to the courtyard as it did before. So that's just a couple of train of thoughts there. So, you know, the last and ultimate thing you could do is, if you still wanted the hotspots and you wanted the Google to have, or keep going to go, the Street View to have the arrows, there is actually nothing stopping you changing the locations of these to make it straight. Yeah, so if you were to do that, I would now have a hotspot going to F. When I clicked F, it would then straight have a hotspot going to G. Now, I've completely destroyed the GPS location in the map, but Google or Street View would obey these locations and would place the hotspots or its links according to this. But of course, the HTML5 version, so if I just undock the map and close that, the HTML5 version will obey the point hotspots that I've put in. So again, if we go to this, have a look, I'll just use the thumbnail menu. Let's go to the doll's house, and here you will see that those are the two hotspots I've set. So had I done that with the tour map, I would actually have, like, if this was to be opened up on Street View, I would actually now have a Street View arrow pointing towards the next room, and then the next room. I'd spin it back, and then as we come out, it would then come back out again. Now obviously this is an HTML5 version, the same node on maps. Again, you'll see the arrow. So you would have this arrow pointing that way. So there is a little bit of trickery that you can do, but you know, this is probably the only caveat that you've got when you're thinking about building your tour and you've got multiple levels. Do you just add links together, or do you emulate this in your skin? I can't see why you wouldn't. You can do this easy enough in Pano 2 VR to emulate this, so why wouldn't you? But yeah, there you go. Anyway, I think I've talked that to death. I think we've covered most things, and I think I've covered really the most important things, which are 1, line of sight, 2, you use the tour map to place your map pins in the tour map. 3, use the tour map for linking. Set your set your headings first, then use the tour map for linking. Once you've done all that, then then you're ready to come over to the HTML5 version, because all the hotspots will be there. But you can unlock point hotspots and move them slightly. As long as they're not too far out, then it's perfectly acceptable to have the HTML5 version slightly different to that of the Street View version. Anyway, that's it. I'll open it up one more last time to Karen. Do we have any questions? Karen?
Yeah, we do. So Thomas is asking, referring back to your view on Google Street View button, how would you change back from Street View to your HTML5 tour?
It opens a new window. It's just opened a new tab here, but it opens a new window. You would just close that and you're back. So it will actually physically open a new window.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Having said that, though, I do believe it's only done that because I didn't give it. It's got the action. No, the text box has got the action in this one. I didn't give it a target, so if I put a target self, that will probably swap the page out. He says, let's try that. So this is the HTML5. This is the HTML5. Go to Street View. Yeah, it's replacing it. So you'd need to hit the back button. You could actually put no, you can't. Right? Yes, you'd have to hit the back button, and that's it really. But I would leave it blank and just open up a new window so you can close the window and go back to your tour. Of course, once we've opened up the Google Street View, we have no influence here at all. This is a completely different web page. We've got, I've got nothing here. I can't do anything with this page.
Okay. I think that's it for the questions, unless someone can type quickly.
Awesome. Well, I hope, if you're done typing, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this. As I say, it was requested, and as I say, if you do have requests, please email in. The next webinar, we were talking about this before we started, and it's about cookies. So I'll be having a cup of tea when we do this one, and tea and cookies is good for me. So yeah, the next webinar will be using cookies, which is always fun and games, and they've got some quite good uses. So yeah, that's the next one. But from me, I'm done. I take it we've still got no one coming in, Karen?
No, we do. Federico managed to get one in there.
Oh, blooming heck! And I thought I'd finish. Right, yeah. Let's go. Let's go for it.
A question perhaps out of context, but I want to take the advantage. Is there a free Mac application to quickly test the behavior of tours on mobile?
Well, it's built into the skin editor. People say mobile, right? Okay. If you're on a Mac, right, and you've got the develop mode switched on, which I do. So if you were to go Safari, Preferences, and go to Advanced, you can switch on develop mode. And what you can also do here is develop mode, and then you can enter responsive web design, which is not showing because I haven't got anything showing it. So let's just do that. I'll go develop, enter responsive design, and you can see here you can change all of these. But what's good for this is all these figures up here. All right. Now the reason why I'm pointing those out is because if we go to the skin editor, all right, and open up the preview opens up with the skin canvas size. Okay, but you can also press and hold and select the size. Now with Pano 2 VR, we detect if it's a mobile or not, if it has touch or not, and obviously the player widths and height, etc. So what you can do, press and hold. We can emulate is mobile by selecting that. All right, and this would then display any is mobile operations. Let's just press and hold, and I can deselect that. And as I say, we've got these predetermined figures here. But what you can do is, if you know, like modern phones and things coming through. Let's just close the skin for a second. Go back to Pano 2 VR and its properties. So it's file properties, file settings for the Windows. It's Pano 2 VR preferences. We've got the skin editor. You can add these custom sizes and type in the names. So when you press and hold, you can then type in it will then show in the skin preview the size that you want. And so that's the predetermined sizes. So you can add them there. There are other websites all over the place that allow you to test. I know Firefox allows you to test certain mobile devices. I do know it doesn't really work very well with the is mobile logic blocks and things like that. Of course, our preview window is triggering that, so that all works very well for it. But having said all that, with it, what I also like as well is the fact that when you open up the preview window, it tells you what sizes are happening. So you can say, right, on an old iPhone that's got 320 width, I want something to happen. What was it? 1024 by 768. So 768 on an iPad. When I get beyond 7 or get below 768, I want it to respond to, say, an iPhone. So that's what this point is. So I can just use the player width and just use the window, and I can see exactly the trigger points that I want it to work with. So yeah, I would say that you've got some nice tools built into the skin editor to do exactly that. So yeah. I think we've got that covered.
Yeah, well, he's wondering if the skin is, if the behavior is, if that is that the exact behavior that's happening on the mobile device. So not just the, like he says, yeah, often not all the features on the skin are visible. So if you're using has touch or is mobile or something, these should change based on...
Well, on touch we can't do because I physically can't touch my screen. And on touch requires a physical touch. But is mobile and everything else should work. I say should work. Let's try it. I'm going to add a rectangle, all right? And I'm going to say that this rectangle is going to be bright red so we can see it. There we go. And I'm going to say that we're going to hide this, and it's going to be player is mobile is true, visible true. All right. So if I open this up in the preview, no red. If I now select, it's now showing it. So you can see that it's responding to the is mobile. So you can see your skin change. Now what I could do is also say, so it's 600 by 500, right? So I could now give this a logic block setting of, so it's visible, and let's just do a player width less than 600. No, that's not going to work, is it? Right, okay. So let's go equal to or more than 600, because it opens up at 600, so it's going to be seeing it. So theoretically, if the player becomes less than this, it will hide, he says, if I've got my logic right. So if I now reduce the width, whoop, it hides. So you can see that you can test all of the things that you would do to build a responsive skin. So you can use the player width, you can use its mobile, and you can see it physically working in the skin preview. The only thing you can't see in the skin preview is hotspot templates, so hotspots themselves, because there is no physical hotspots showing here. But other than that, all other skin features are represented in the preview, and you can see them reacting to screen width, height, all the other bits and pieces, and is mobile, etc., etc. So this is a good tool for developing responsive skins.
And just another tip that I don't think we need to show today, but just so you know, when you export your project, it opens up in the local web server, and you can also use that on your actual mobile phone and test.
Absolutely.
So you can you can use your own device that you have. Of course, it doesn't. If you don't have an Android device with you, you can only test on your iPhone, or vice versa. But you can use the integrated web server and connect to those addresses on your phone and test.
Let's just do that again. Yeah, I know you said we you don't have to show it, but might as well because it's tools, integrated web server.
Complete digression.
Yeah, well, basically, if you've got your mobile phone, again, it's important for the tour. We're building tours, right? Okay, so this is what this is about. So it's not too far from it. But yeah, so basically, if you've got your mobile phone on the same network as your computer, you would type in, I would use the SSL, the secure address, and you just find the secure address, type that into your mobile phone, and you'll see the tour on your mobile. You've got to make sure that you've actually published the output and you've got content in here first, and then you can just type this in and see it on your phone. It would look something like this, and show details, because obviously it's a secure connection, and yeah, anyway, I'm not going to go through that because, as you say, it's a digression.
And you have all those listed there because you have all those mobile devices connected to the same network.
I have, because we're doing I have my iPhone plugged in, I've got an iPad plugged in, and there's other various bits and pieces plugged in, hence why I've got loads of addresses. So there's three. So there's one for the Mac, which is I'm on now, my iMac, one for the mobile phone, one for the iPad. If I was to disconnect one of those would disappear. But I won't, just in case I break something. The other thing here as well is you can actually add a speed limit in kilobytes as well. So it's good for testing low speed connections. So there you go. Anyway, so this part can be cut from the video. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave it in there. Maybe someone finds it useful. I just threw in a link to the documentation page on using the web server. So if you want to see how that's working and how to connect your different devices. So that might be helpful. But I think that's it. There aren't any more questions. And yeah.
Well, as I said, I hope everybody got something out of it. And from me, thank you very much. And till next time, goodbye.
Yeah, see you later. Bye. Nice having you here.